दिल्ली गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी ने उनका स्वागत किया। आप तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं, सीधे गुरुद्वारा रकाबगंज रोड से आई हुई ये तस्वीरें हैं। न्यूजीलैंड के प्रधानमंत्री और भारत के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी दोनों इस तस्वीर में साथ नजर आ रहे हैं। तो आप इन तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं कि पूरी श्रद्धा भक्ति के साथ भारत के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी गुरुद्वारा रकाबगंज रोड पर गुरुद्वारा रकाबगंज पे मौजूद हैं। उनके साथ न्यूजीलैंड के प्रधानमंत्री क्रिस्टोफर लक्सन भी हैं। और जैसा कि हमने बताया कि सिखों के नवे गुरु तेग बहादुर जी के जहां पर अंतिम संस्कार हुआ था, उस स्थान पर गुरुद्वारा रकाबगंज का निर्माण 1783 में किया गया था। और आप इन तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं दिल्ली गुरुद्वारा प्रबंधक कमेटी दोनों माननीय मेहमानों का स्वागत करते हुए। आपको बता दें कि आपसे इस गुरुद्वारा में आने से पहले प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी और न्यूजीलैंड के प्रधानमंत्री क्रिस्टोफर लक्सन की एक साझा प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में आतंकवाद के खिलाफ एकजुटता दिखाई गई थी और दोनों नेताओं ने क्राइस्टचर्च और मुंबई हमलों का जिक्र करते हुए आतंकवाद के सभी रूपों को अस्वीकार बताया था। मोदी ने न्यूजीलैंड में भारत विरोधी गतिविधियों पर भी चिंता जताई थी। और इस प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस के बाद अब ये दोनों नेता गुरुद्वारा रकाबगंज में पहुंचे हैं और सिख धार्मिक रीति रिवाजों के साथ इन्होंने यहाँ पर दर्शन किए। क्लोजिंग करना है ना।
The Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, the Right Honorable Christopher Luxon, the Honorable Prime Minister of New Zealand, dignitaries, ministers, head of think tanks and institutions, and our very many friends. a very warm welcome to Raisina 2025 and to New Delhi. 10 is a good number, and Raisina is 10 today. So may I request you all to join me in applauding this journey so far. We are not planning to slow down. The Conference on Geopolitics and Geoeconomics that we started 10 years ago now has audiences and stakeholders worldwide. It is incubating ideas and partnerships that will help shape a future order that is definitely but struggling to emerge. Rabindranath Tagore once hoped our minds would be led forward into ever-widening thought and action. Raisina has opened up those horizons for many of us. Helping in this journey is not just this flagship conference in New Delhi, which this year will see a participation of 4,000 stakeholders from across the world, from 131 countries. But Raisina now also has forums in the United States, Australia, Japan, and the UAE. This year, the Honorable Prime Minister, during his visit to France, also announced the launch of the Raisina Mediterranean, which we will host in Marseille. We have broadened our audience in other ways as well. Our Young Fellows program has been running for 15 years. In fact, it predates the dialogue. Our alumni, we have counted 2,500 so far in 130 countries, are helping change the world through leadership positions in government, business, media, and civil society. At our Raisina Forum for the Future of Diplomacy, early career diplomats gather to build the bridges needed in this complex new era. We have now 200 of these early career diplomats. Raisina Platforms also introduces young scholars to the important policy debates of our time. This year, our Global Student Challenge has assembled teams from 60 top-rated universities and schools across the world. And our Raisina Hackathons saw the participation of 2,500 young people from 90 higher education institutions in Indian cities. The 10th edition of the Raisina Dialogue is as much an occasion for looking ahead as it is for reflecting on the road traveled. Our theme this year, Kala Chakra, the Wheel of Time, reflects this circularity of the past, present, and future that is always evolving. Time is eternal, change is constant, even as politics shifts directions. The motive force propelling Raisina 2025 are the well-being of people, the quest for peace, and the stewardship of our planet. These are the pressing priorities facing our humanity, and they are also the culmination of the dialogues, years of discussion so far. In 2016, we set out to connect Asia with itself and with the world. In doing so, we took the task of understanding multilateralism in a multipolar world. That vital project has engaged us ever since. 2020 changed our societies and our nations forever. Our attention turned to the dynamics of a viral world, a world of viruses and vaccines, of expansionist and revisionist powers, and of information and news that fed our biases. Yet, some geographies remained a beacon of hope. In particular, India's G20 presidency was a lighthouse in the tempest. And last year, we sat down and devised new strategies and frameworks to engage a brave new post-pandemic world. These are many threads that the Raisina Dialogue 2025 weaves together for you. Kala Chakra, people, peace, and planet, the proposition that brings us here today. Our Prime Minister has invested in these through his decisions and actions. The US and European leadership has expressed the same desire. Many number of leaders from the Global South also expect the same from the frameworks that we so design. When we all seek the same end, why are we so far apart? Let us bridge the distance here in New Delhi at the Raisina Dialogue. Conversations are the first step towards peace, progress, and prosperity. However hard the circumstances, we cannot allow dialogue to die. We must shun the culture of cancelling each other. We must listen and we must work constructively towards lasting solutions. But as a conference organizer, let me just tell you, there are more demands for speaking roles than there are for sitting in the audience. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, sitting before us, has demonstrated the power of listening. Since 2017, he has attended the Raisina Dialogue every year and spoken only once, setting a personal example about the importance of listening, absorbing, and understanding. His tireless efforts to promote dialogue on the world stage are also an inspiration. As he urged us recently, quoting the poet Rumi, "Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder." Our hearts are filled with pride that Raisina Dialogue has evolved into a truly global public square. Incubated by India and nurtured by the world, this arena has allowed 1,000 ideas to bloom, nourished by the constant showers of wisdom that does not take anything as a given, that challenges what is, and dares to visualize what could be. I welcome you all once again to the dialogue and to our Raisina family. Let us debate, let us disagree, and let us discover. And let this begin now. Thank you so much for joining us in New Delhi. Let me now invite the chairman of the Observer Research Foundation, Mr. Sanjay Joshi, to introduce the theme and our speaker this evening. Mr. Joshi.
A very good evening to our distinguished guests, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, our guest of honor, Excellency Christopher Luxon, Prime Minister of New Zealand, Honorable External Affairs Minister, Shri Jaishankar, our partners from the Ministry of External Affairs and all the other ministers, admirals, generals, speakers and delegates, and the audience which is gathered here, distinguished members, many of whom are also joining online. Welcome to Raisina 2025. When conflicts challenge order, when we struggle to make sense of the road ahead, we seek anchor in metaphors and in symbols. I remember, last year, when conflicts were raging in Europe and West Asia, we had assembled Raisina under the banner of Chaturang, that ancient board game of war and craft. This year, as conflicts nudge themselves towards a peace which sometimes seems more conflicted than the wars itself, the theme chosen is Kal Chakra, the wheel of time. First of all, the metaphor of the wheel actually challenges the linear notion of the arrow of time as something which is constantly moving forward inexorably towards progress and growth. The chakra, gives no such false assurances. The unending progress of any civilization, of any nation or race, or manifest destiny of anyone is not guaranteed by any cosmic order. We repeat mistakes, our best intents lead to consequences we never intended, and order frequently does descend into chaos. The chakra actually signifies a motion which is far more complex than the circular monotony of a wheel. It is about cycles of decay and cycles of renewal. It is about the dance of the planets, which is set in motion by a balance of mutually opposite forces. There's a centrifugal force that, left to itself, can cause the dance of the stars to unravel. They can just be flung out of course. And opposing it is a centripetal force, always recentering things, pulling things towards the center. Should that centripetal force run riot, the system starts imploding, collapsing upon itself into a black hole which sucks up everything, mass, energy, to end in a dead world from which even light cannot escape. At one extreme of the spinning vortex of time is a fragmenting order, which is called the mandal, the fragmenting pattern, tearing apart the cohesion of societies, disrupting the environmental balance, hyper-individualism, ecological collapse, dissipating into a world of entropic decay. At the other end, lies a collapse bundle, the collapse pattern, overly rigid, homogenized, a world of authoritarianism and ecological monocultures, where over-integration stifles innovation, and instead of change and evolution, even time freezes unmoving. So central to this whole idea of Kalchakra, which is a theme of this conference, is the idea of impermanence. No state, thankfully, lasts forever, for each contains the seed of its opposite. That makes it not just a non-linear system, it also makes it a non-binary system. A non-binary system cannot be understood in very mechanistic, dualistic terms. It cannot be understood in terms of black and white. There's too much color in it. Because to do that is to lose nuance, to be unable to understand the nature of complexity and be defeated by complexity. So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which our Prime Minister keeps on urging, is that ideal in the cosmic order, one that is offered as an all-encompassing guide for a world that is impermanent, interdependent, and infinitely interconnected. In truth, everything around us, is this dance of Kal, time, and Mandal, which is order. And that fundamentally challenges humans. Remember, in Buddhism, ultimately, this calibration between the two is not defined as a goal. It is defined as a practice. It is something which must be kept on constantly. It is not an endpoint. And to do that, it challenges conscious humans, thinking humans, to engage through thought and through action to practice bringing that order back together again, that balance back together again. So we meet to celebrate a decade of Raisina in 2025, to examine precisely that world of thought and action, which helps us recognize that every movement, whether tightening into unity or fraying into disorder, also contains the seed of its opposite. In the final analysis, in the Kalchakra, neither order nor chaos are endpoints. They're merely transitory phases which demand recalibration. And recalibration is a time for sometimes difficult and unconventional decisions. So at ORF, we extend our welcome and best wishes to everyone here for 3 days of the most thought-provoking conversations. And I'm delighted this year to present His Excellency Christopher Luxon, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. Sir, Kalchakra is about change. And as a corporate leader, you have led change. You transformed Air New Zealand into one of the world's most successful and respected carriers. Then you've entered politics to try and do much the same for your great country. We have brought, you bring that pragmatic approach to international trade, technology partnerships, and defense cooperation that is helping New Zealand deepen ties across the world, and especially to countries like India and countries situated in the Indo-Pacific. With that, may I invite you, sir, to join us here and give us the benefit of your vast wisdom and experience. Thank you, sir.
Cricket's white ball competitions, most recently winning the championship, but we can only do so alongside partners like India that have a significant role to play in the Indo-Pacific region. In an increasingly multipolar world, India's size and geostrategic heft gives you autonomy.
Mauritius is not just a partner country. For us, Mauritius is family. This bond is deep and strong, rooted in history, heritage, and the human spirit. India always stands with Mauritius. When Mauritius prospers, India is the first to celebrate. आज मॉरिशस एक पेड़ मां के नाम से भी जुड़ा है। आज मैंने और प्रधानमंत्री नवीन राम गुलाम जी ने एक पेड़ मां के नाम अभियान के तहत पेड़ भी लगाया है। महाकुंभ विजय संपन्न हुआ। दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा ये इवेंट मानव जाति के इतिहास का करीब 66 करोड़ लोग वहां आए। तो जिस मुहूर्त में ये महाकुंभ होता है उसी मुहूर्त का ये गंगा जल ये है मखाना। बिहार का अकेला ही राज्य है जो करीब 80-90% मखाना, और ये न्यूट्रिशन दृष्टि से बहुत ही वैल्यूएबल है।
Just awarded me this great honor. It is perhaps fitting that I should also announce to everybody here today that I've asked the President of the Republic to award to you, Shri Modi, the highest award that we have, Grand Commander of the Order of the Star and Key of the Indian Ocean. Very fitting for you.
मॉरिशस के लोगों ने, यहाँ की सरकार ने मुझे अपना सर्वोच्च नागरिक सम्मान देने का फैसला लिया है। मैं आपके निर्णय को विनम्रता से स्वीकार करता हूं। ये भारत और मॉरिशस के ऐतिहासिक रिश्तों का सम्मान है। अगर विश्व में कोई एक देश है जिसका भारत पर पूरा हक है तो उस देश का नाम है मॉरिशस। हमारे संबंधों की कोई सीमा नहीं है। हमारे संबंधों को लेकर हमारी आशाओं और आकांक्षाओं की कोई लिमिट नहीं है।